Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody around the world, hello and welcome to another episode of The Watchable with me. Jean-Luc Welch, make some noise, clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We are back with another action-packed show for you today, covering the world of sports, boxing, and beyond. We appreciate all your time, all your effort, all your energy on this Thursday afternoon. We got a lot to cover in a short amount of time to do it. We got Terence, Crawford, we got Ryan Garcia, we got potentially a dream fight that one just goes between Shakur and Ryan Garcia. How would that play out? Would that even happen? And so much more on this show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you haven't already, leave a like on the stream, comment your thoughts and opinions on whatever we discussed today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. No question about it. We are still growing and thriving. It's all thanks to you and your support. Also, we're available on every podcasting platform imaginable. Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And if we're not, tell us. We will get there. Absolutely. We appreciate your time, your energy, your effort, and we enjoy all of you on, hey, hopefully I'm making your day better. Hopefully I'm making your day shine with all the energy, the excitement, the fervor, the fire, because that's all we do on this show. We are ensured that we give you the best, we're ensured that we give you the best that we can on any given day at any given time, because ladies and gentlemen, this is the hottest show in all the globe. Whether it's wherever you're listening, on your job, at your house, and shoot, with friends, don't matter. This is the place to be, and this is the show to see wherever you are. And we appreciate your time and energy. Let's see what people got to say. Stabby, what's good with you? How you doing? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me get my sounds right. There we go. Appreciate you joining in and tuning in. See, I told you I was going to get this thing fixed. Doggone it, with all the chats and stuff. I told you I was going to get it fixed, and I keep to my word. Took a little longer, but I said I was going to do it, and doggone it, I did it. Do a 24-hour show starting now. I can't do that. Hey, look, down the line, I got some plans, and we're gonna make that happen. But as of right now, hey, I got some priorities I gotta do. I would love to do it, absolutely. And most likely I'd make some bank if I did, but I can't do that right now. But in the future, hey, potentially, we'll see how it goes. I ain't got no problem with it if indeed the public wants it. Now, I may have to say, I might take some breaks down the line. I may have to, breathe. I might just have to sleep. Y'all just may, if I don't get copyright struck, maybe I'll try to play some fights on the stream. And so y'all can see it. Hey, shoot, that'd be dope. Maybe I can partner with the Zone. Hey, we can watch fights together. Go and call through and break down some of the legendary fights of the past. Hey, that would be fun. That could be something. But we'll see how that goes from here. Jay Riggs, TikTok, Mr. Hey, brother, look now. A quality product it ain't easy. You gotta make sure everything's correct, okay? So you got me on my doggone spelling last time, so I'm trying to make sure ain't nothing wrong with what I got up here, so that you can't be coming and saying, oh, Z better instead of Z better, because ain't no minute spelling error, but spelling error nonetheless, brother. I'm trying to do my best, okay? So the perfection takes work, and you have to wait, okay? People, you can't just fall out of bed looking good. You got to take some time. You got to take some energy. Let yourself, slow down a little bit. Everything. I still want to start on time, but hey, now, the public deserves the best I can give. So doggone it. Hey, beauty can wait. Yeah, that's beauty is worth the wait. Absolutely. But look, we appreciate you coming in on the show. What's up to you? How you doing? And anybody joining in, thank you so much for joining in on the show. But again, without further ado, we got a lot to cover in a short amount of time to do it. And since we are talking about boxing, first and foremost, yes, we'll have the championship rounds. We're also at the sound of the bell. At the end of the show, we'll have an opportunity for you to say whatever you want on whatever you would like, with topics either we have talked about, whatever we haven't talked about. We'll probably discuss some NBA action. Also, because the playoffs are indeed heating up, but we got to talk about boxing first and foremost. And since we're talking about boxing, it's time to step into the ring. Hey, that's right. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show going underway. As we got to discuss first and foremost, something that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to take some time to think before I actually brought this topic, but Shakur versus Ryan in the future. Now, why are you bringing this up? Well, as we know, Ryan Garcia is getting ready to fight on that Cinco de Mayo weekend up in New York in front of thousands of people, apparently for a free event down in the heart of the city, the mecca of, at least for America, of one of the global sports, essentially, cities. Attractions. Everybody wants to be in New York, and that's where they're going to be. Him, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez, all fighting on the same card at the same time. What it should be. One of the more exciting cards that we have on night. But this fight let me think about something. There could be a time that even though right now we're thinking about Ryan Garcia versus Boots. Ryan Garcia versus the rest of 147. Now that the fight is at 147, potentially would the rematch with Devin Haney be at 147? All those other questions swirling, absolutely. And I want to hear your opinions on it all. But there's one fight that I think we may not be looking at as fervently as we may be needing to down the line, and that is Shakur versus Ryan Garcia. Yeah, genuine. This is a fight that down the road could be something that we actually see happen. And I'm interested to feel how you feel about how that fight will go. Because it's interesting because, again, Ryan Garcia was at 135. Shakur just got moved up to 135. And at that point in time, then Ryan Garcia moved up to 140. We know how Shakur's body is growing. He is still a young man. He's still, even with him being, again, big, even for the 135 pound division. He's a big dude. He's a big kid. We can say as much as we want that he ain't a puncher. The brother is genuinely a big kid for that division. And he's still morphing into his body. He is still developing. And because of that, even though there's still work to be done at 135, yes, and he's most likely going to take care of most of it, there will be a time, potentially sooner rather than later, that his body may force him, just like at 130, to have to move up in order to accommodate and be the best that he can be. Since that is a legitimate option, this is a real opportunity. Down the road, we could see Shakur and Ryan at 147 potentially fight against each other. And if that is the case, this brings a real good question into the fight of how Ryan Garcia would do against Shakur Stevenson. Or, depending on what side of the spectrum you fall on, would it be the other end? And would it be, how would Shakur fare against the likes of Ryan Garcia? Because maybe Ryan Garcia at that point in time, at that weight, might be the man to beat. Even though we could potentially see that Shakur's best weight would be at 147. Hypothetically, but I just want to hear from you all. Yo, Jay Will, what's up with you? How you doing? Appreciate you joining in on the show. I told you I was going to get this thing fixed. I was going to get this doggone pop-up for the chat fixed, and we here. We live, and we got everything in order, apparently. Lord willing, we got everything in order, and we here to hear whatever you got to say. Again, we got a lot of topics that we're going to discuss, but right now we're talking about a potential matchup between the likes of Shakur and Ryan Garcia. How would it go? Teach, what's good with you? Brother, thanks for tuning in. Absolutely appreciate you joining in on the show. Right now, the question is, for those of you who are just tuning in, Shakur versus Ryan down the line. One, is that fight possible in your eyes? And two, who do you think would win in that fight if it did happen? Because this is not just from a physical standpoint, but even from a stylistic approach, this is very interesting. We were just talking about Zepeda versus the likes of Shakur on the last episode on Tuesday. We were saying that Zepeda, while he may be, again, physically, hey, he can do things that we saw Oscar Valdez not be able to do with that aggression in terms of being able to reach you and having an easier time keeping up with you rather than with Oscar because he was a short, smaller fighter and so one-dimensional with relying on his hooks. Butler wasn't able to do what he needed to do and got outclassed, dominated, and beat up by Shakur Stevenson because Shakur is the better fighter. Now against Zepeda, while we still know Shakur is the better fighter, the length and size of Zepeda now brings a new level or layer to what that fight could potentially be, though we know that Shakur is the better fighter. Also, with health coming into play and all that stuff, you can go back and look at the show that we had done on Thursday, on Tuesday, talking about all of this. But then if we put Ryan Garcia in this mist, hypothetically, Ryan Garcia versus Shakur at 147, down the line with Shakur most likely needing to move up, because again, his body is still growing. And if everything is still as we see it as right now, this could be, down the road, it could be interesting. Now let's see what people have to say. Again, I can't see Shakur moving up to 147 anytime soon. Again, I'm not saying soon. I'm not saying in the immediate that, he would move up. That he would definitely go through and absolutely, time for me to go and balloon up to two divisions. I'm not saying that's going to happen. This is future outlook of a fight that, mind you, it just crossed my mind. And I haven't brought this up because I wanted to think about it and really think, is this a plausible circumstance? And the more that I think, the more that I'm seeing this is a real possibility in a couple years that this fight could be the fight that we get. Because let's think about it. The fight that we want right now is Shakur versus Tank. That's the biggest thing that we want. Understandable. Absolutely. We completely get it. That fight needs to happen. If Shakur did beat Tank, or we had a controversial type of decision like we did against Tank versus Lamont Roach, builds up Shakur's cachet, all of a sudden gets a lot of respect, all of a sudden becomes a legitimate, not just known name, but and not just respected, but also identifiable to a lot of fans, and potentially that moniker of boring gets shaven off of him. Potentially. Now that happens, as he's growing bigger, at that point in time now, okay, I got to get, if I still want to be better, it's like with John Boots Ennis, might be time for me to move up. Then at that point in time, he goes through. We might see Ryan Garcia settle at 147 as, this is my comfortable weight. I think Ryan can get up to 154, but most likely 147 is where I see him as being able to settle in. He might be there for a couple years. Shakur could be, as he matures, if he matures quickly, 147, getting there from currently 135, might not be, while it's going to be far off, might not be as far as we may think. Since that's the case, we could see this fight as a possibility. Since it could be a possibility, even if it's just a dream match, it's interesting because it may be incredibly competitive if that fight did take place. But I would love to hear what you all have to say. I still need to see Ryan's progression with Derrick James before I make a real pick. That's understandable. I do get that. Shakur won't be getting hit with the hook off of Devin Haney's jab or off of the jab like Haney was. And see, that's good. You're right. But this fight is interesting because with all of Shakur's technical ability, which is incredible, no question, Ryan Garcia, something about Ryan makes him, even at this point in time, makes it so that anybody can potentially, even if you are a better pure boxer than him, you still may not be able to beat him just because of what he brings to the game. Mind you, the losses that he's had have been because of power. And even though, again, we can have a conversation that Shakur is a better boxer than Devin Haney, the main issue with Devin Haney still, even without the level of boxing, understand that, we know where he is. The power still was the biggest thing that made it so that he couldn't keep Ryan off of him. He couldn't. One of the biggest things with Zepeda is the fact that we see Zepeda as potentially giving Shakur trouble just because of the sheer pressure. And even with Shakur's boxing, he might not be able to keep him off of him. Those power may not be something that, again, while we respect it, and the talent level of Zepeda, again, while we respect it, should be something that we see Shakur overcome. Now with Ryan Garcia, if that fight did take place, this is a little bit different. This is elite power with elite hand speed that can keep up with you or potentially catch you off guard, even with somebody of the instincts and likes of Shakur. And has the physical ability to match you. And he knows there's nothing punch-wise that he has to worry about similar to Devin Haney. Now, it's going to be a lot more difficult, potentially, to fight Shakur than with Devin Haney. We understand that. But the outcome may not be that, Shakur would just be able to outbox him cleanly. And more likely, there could be a road where potentially Shakur is in some real trouble if that fight ever did take place. Especially if it did, again, future down the line, happen at 147. But let's see what you all have to say right now. Yo, hello, Jay-Z, what's good with you? How you doing? Appreciate you joining in on the show. Let's see what you got to say. Yo, what do you think Tank should fight at 126 or 130? Because I've been hearing guys say Tank is a small guy and is not a real 135-pound guy. Look at the screen real quick. That's exactly, we were getting ready to talk about that next. If you give me some time, I'm gonna get to it. I don't want to give all my takes yet. That's the next topic. So stay right here. Once we get through with this, we're gonna jump into Tank. And this is gonna be interesting. Stay here or come back. Because we're gonna talk about that next. We gotta keep with the flow of the show. But I will say, in the immediate, before I get into my full take on all of this, Tank at 135, he is a natural 135-pounder. Yes, he is. However, he is not too small. He's a small guy, but he's not too small. And I'm going to get into that in the next segment once we get back to it. But let's keep in touch with what we got right now with Shakur. We're going to jump back on this. But again, for the preview, Tank is naturally 135. And he is a small guy, but he is not a small fighter. And I'm going to explain that after we get through with this segment. But let's see, Tank walks around 160 weight. And he's very small, but he's very small to that weight class. Again, we're going to jump into it. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it all. But let me see what people have to say. First and foremost, Shakur reflexes, I truly believe, are the best in the business. I see. See, you're catching a little bit of my drift now. We're going to break it down fully. Let's finish with the Shakur thing, but you see what I'm getting at a little bit. And I would love to hear your thoughts once we fully dive into the segment, but you're starting to get the picture of what I'm saying. But let me see what people have to say. Shakur, we feel like I truly feel is the best in the business. Shakur, it's top five. It's most likely top five. Just from instinctual standpoint. Now, if you're talking about strictly instincts, as in just the ability to read and react on a whim, he's up there, absolutely. But he does have rivals. In a way, incredibly instinctual. Canelo is incredibly instinctual. Terence Crawford is instinctual. One of the big things about him, and we talk about that sixth gear that we talk about people like Inoue also has that as well. The sixth gear, them elevating their game, part of that is being able to become instinctual to where all of a sudden they don't have to think, their body just moves almost automatically at will. It's a very interesting trait. Shakur has that as well. And just Shakur at this point in time, brother, yeah, he's a monster. There's a reason why he's one of the best distance keepers of the game. Because of his understanding of the defense and ring generalship as a whole, and his natural athleticism. His ability to, even with all that athleticism, to be able to react concisely and immediately without posturing himself too far away from still being able to work like he needs to work. It's an incredibly minute type of talent that many people don't have. Boots Ennis has it as well from the standpoint of oftentimes he's able to turn his head at every single punch that comes through. Again, he still gets hit a lot. He relies on that a lot. But there's a reason why he relies on that type of defensive tactic more than anybody else in the sport, arguably, because he's that good at always doing it right. So there's a bunch of fighters that are like that, but Shakur is up there as well, reflex-wise, in my estimation. So I'm right there with you. Let's see. It is a rumor that Turkey and his team backed out of Crawford versus Canelo fight. They said Crawford too small for Canelo. They don't want to see it anymore. Now, I haven't heard that yet. I haven't heard anybody on the Turkey camp from Ring Magazine, when any of the reporters at this point in time say anything like that. Now, it could be a rumbling I can verify it fully, I can't say that's true. I think that fight is still going to happen. Because even with the amount of people that lament it, as we've had on the show, people still want to see it. You just saw we're getting ready to talk about how Crawford in the next topic or last topic, but Star Power, we were getting ready to talk about Crawford and what he did going and fighting or talking on Shannon Sharp's podcast. Ironically enough, it's at an interesting time, but still, it's at a that fight the show was pre-recorded, yes, months ago, but it came out at a very very interesting time for the likes of Shannon Sharp. If you know what's going down over with him, it's timely. I'll say that. Some would say it's horrible timing for the likes of Crawford because we've been wanting for him to be a star. Just that at this point in time, the podcast episode to come out with him and Shannon, and in this current climate, with what's going on with Shannon right now, it's kind of you know. Some people may be saying we got some problems, but that's a conversation we'll leave for later on. But I haven't heard anything about that being true. Right now, the current plan that I know is concrete at this point in time. Canelo versus Williams scroll, unification, or undisputed, excuse me. If Canelo wins that, then it becomes the undisputed champion versus the undisputed champion who are going against each other with Crawford and Canelo happening, I believe, in the States. That's what I've heard right now. And so at this point in time, that's what I got to say. Listen, do you see Haney trying to compare himself as a Mayweather, saying both are villains? They are people that everyone pays to watch them lose. Dude is a joke. And they say, yo, Rusty Cage, what's good with you? How you doing? Appreciate you tuning in on the show. Thank you so much for coming up. We appreciate your time. If you haven't already, leave a like on the stream right now. Again, the segment right now is Shakur versus Ryan. But within that conversation, everything surrounding the May card with Ryan, Haney, and the likes of Teofimo Lopez, all of that, we can still talk about it. Absolutely within this topic. Then we're gonna move on to Tank afterwards. So we rocking right now. We good. So appreciate y'all tuning in. Absolutely. And if you haven't already, subscribe and share the show. Get this out to everybody. We want to hear everybody's voices and conversations because this is indeed a phenomenal show. It's great. Not just because I'm here, but because, hey, y'all make this show the best that it can be. You are the reason this is the hottest show in all the globe on YouTube and whatever other frame of reference you're listening to. So we appreciate all your time and energy. But to answer Jay Riggs' question, he's not entirely wrong from the standpoint of the villain. I think we've even talked about this on a past episode with Devin Haney embracing the role of the villain. We talked about this. Haney has embraced, I'ma be hated, so let me be hated. Jake Paul's done it. Logan Paul's done it. Mayorga did it. Margarito did it. Bunch of fighters that shoot. Even Ali, at one point in time, before he became beloved, was one of the most hated people in the sport because he was loud. He was brash. He talked too much. People wanted to see him get knocked out. It was a complete 180 flip when he faced off against Joe Frazier because at that point in time, he became beloved. People wanted Sonny Liston to destroy him. People wanted Sonny Liston to destroy Ali. They did. And it's because, and ironically enough, Sonny Liston is seen in today's, in history, as one of the biggest villains in boxing. Gangster, ties to everything in the underbelly of the sport. A beast with no friends. And it's a very sad story from his upbringing all the way up until the day he died. It's incredibly heartbreaking if you ever get a chance to look into it. But yeah, it's like villains have existed for oh so long. Haney's saying that he's like that in that sense. I get it. But talent-wise, no type of, not even close. Respect-wise, not even close. But people, in terms of not liking him, especially after what he pulled with all the suing, all the punishment, dragging out the Oscarine PED popping that we saw Ryan Garcia have, all of that, it hurt his image. It hurt his image bad. People were saying, don't do it. People were saying, stop. People forgot all the other stuff that he did, like with, again, becoming undisputed, like with beating Lomachenko, like with genuinely, at one point in time, being seen as at the tops of the sport, understandably so. That one action, coupled with the rumblings of, hey, this but it's boring, I'm not going to see anything exciting, similar to what we heard with Shakur. Now you're running away from smoke in the eyes of people. Oh, it's a problem for a lot of people. That's what has caused the kind of like the tipping point, like the dam breaking and all the water flooding in. That's what Haney went through and is currently going through. So yeah, people want to see him get put to sleep. Absolutely. So from that aspect, I understand. I do. And so this is what pays the villain, the hero and villain, good guy, bad guy. Rusty Cage, you know this, heel, face in the wrestling world. That breeds a natural conflict. Hence, if you can make it so that you are a magnet of said conflict, that leads to money. That's why he's embracing the role. Now, is he really prepared for it? Because you can go look at it in the past shows I've done here and on shorts if you go back and look on the channel, which highly advise you to do. I think I'm doing pretty good with them, but hey, that's a whole other conversation, not to toot my own horn. But I don't think he's ready for it because the weight of being a villain means that your failures aren't just failures. Now your failures are celebrations. And already, before he fully said, yeah, I'm that bad guy, he was already being ridiculed. And he said, why doesn't anybody love me? Now he wants people to hate him. So people are going to hate him. And if he loses, whether it's to Ryan Garcia or anybody else, like with Ramirez, brother, that level of vitriol now is going to be even worse because you want the hate. And now you lost? Oh, we're going to give you what you want. It can drive a man insane. It can drive a man or woman insane. And so it's like, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be incredibly interesting to see how he handles this role. Because I don't know if he's really prepared for it. We talked about that in the last show. Let's see. Haney ain't got the ability to cut a good promo like Mayweather. He doesn't. He really doesn't. And so it's like if he did, oh my gosh. Oh shoot. It'd be great. But again, that's what his dad's for. Trainer and also the ticket salesman. He is, he's the ringmaster in standpoint of this circus that is Devin Haney. He's perfect example, and I hate to use it because again we all despise him, or at least I don't like him. But perfect example of this in wrestling, you had the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and you had Hulk Hogan. Jimmy Hart would come out with a megaphone in hand, talking to everybody in the arena, talking smack. Hulk Hogan would come out. And he would be the mouthpiece for Hulk Hogan to be like, yeah, this butt is worth the hype. Or the natural disasters with Typhoon and Earthquake. All these different people. Paul Heyman for Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman for Roman Reigns. I mean, there's too many to count in terms of people that have been. They sell the fighter, and the fighter cashes in by making the fight worthwhile. Devin Haney's dad, Bill Haney, is that type of mouthpiece. He talks the smack. He talks the talk. He gives all the vitriol. Yeah, he builds up everything. It's Devin Haney's job to cash in. That can be bad. It can be good. But as a villain also, it can be a weight that potentially could be too heavy. If he could cut promos and actually talk, it'd be even better. If he could talk like his dad talked, phenomenal. But he ain't got that ability. And so that's why you have somebody that can do that. And hence why his dad is doing right now. But everyone does not pay to see Haney. It's facts. Everyone doesn't pay to see Devin Haney until it's somebody that again is a big comparable fight and that they feel like, oh, he can lose. Like it's similar to Shakur, but in a little bit of a different vein. Devin Haney can beat most of the people in the division because he's that good of a fighter. But his style, just like Shakur, is boring, so people don't, but like, why pay for stuff that we know the outcome, and I'm going to go to sleep with that outcome happening. But against people that can actually compete, that are like, oh, this brother may be on your level. He's got something that can actually do something to you. Now, that's when you see the real intrigue come into play. People don't want to care about Devin Haney until they feel like, oh, he can be beat. Now, let's pay this for him to lose. It's not just a constant barrage of hate like with Floyd. Because everybody wants to see Floyd anyway. The brand, the spectacle, and also anybody beats this brother, we'll be happy. But, again, the star power was up there. That's why I said that Floyd and Devin Haney, I see what he's saying, but it's still not fully there. Because they pay to see him hate. They pay to hate him. But with Floyd, they paid to hate him everywhere. Because he was too big to fake or too big of a brand to be ignored. You can ignore Devin Haney. Not because he isn't good, but because his brand, while it is respectable, absolutely, it's not at that level of you're undeniable and we got to see it. Unless it's against somebody that is also within that same threshold of their brand is big, if not bigger. And your brand is big, but we hate it. Now, again, perfect clash. We don't want to pay to see you beat somebody that we know can win. But if it's against somebody that we think can actually do something to you, oh, we'll come out in droves. That's what it's like with Devin Haney. And so, let's see, my point is exactly what Haney is a villain compared more to boxing Karin, not Mayweather. I can see that. I can see that. Padley took a beating, and guess what? He won. The fans, he did not make excuses for next fight, and he won. Yes, he did. You're absolutely right. I see Shakur more of a villain with that goofy smirk of it. See, he's for a lot of fans, Devin Haney's hateable, and I don't hate Devin Haney. I got problems with how he handles situations. I don't hate him. But I see why. He rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Because outside the ring and inside the ring, the way you talk and the way you fight, it don't match up to be as bad as you say that you are. And then we watch you. And even, again, I appreciate boxing. I do. I appreciate technical ability. Many fans don't. And because of that, if you don't wow them in some way or another with how you talk, people are going to say, oh, this brother's a fraud. We've seen it countless, even if he's got a proven track record. Oh, this brother, look, you can't talk all this mess and then just, again, pillow-fisted jab your way to victory. And it don't even look like something that is worth our time watching. From a stylistic standpoint. Again, James Toney, phenomenal. Bernard Hopkins, phenomenal. Pernell Whitaker, phenomenal. All of them were defensive fighters. All of them were technically sublime. Yet their view and what we view how fans view Devin Haney is completely different. Even in that mist at that point in time, because it brought something to the table that made you want to see more. Even if it wasn't always predicated around power. Floyd Mayweather the same way. Regardless of what people want to say about him. He brought something in the ring as well as outside that made him something that I need to see. I need to see what this is about. Haney doesn't bring that. Shakur can bring that. But again, his hand issues have made it so that it's harder. We understand, again, boring, all that stuff, De Los Santos, all that stuff. It's bad, absolutely. Shakur's got that potential to meld those two things together. I don't think Devin Haney does. And we see the pictures. Devin Haney's bigger. Devin Haney looks, oh yeah, he's ready for he's ready for May. He looks fit. He does. But he's got to show me something to prove that, yeah, you bring that extra oomph that people, or that, the average fan is looking for. Because at this point in time, the only reason why we care about this fight is because we are assured that we'll get that fight with Ryan Garcia, and then we can see Ryan Garcia beat you up again. That's what most fans are banking on. That's what most people want to see. And that's part of the problem with Devin Haney, is the fact that he, as himself, everybody needs a dance partner. Absolutely. But with Haney, especially after Ryan Garcia, brother, it's a lot more severe for him than most other people. Because it's a chokehold on his career. We say everybody needs somebody else to make money. We get it. Tank needed Ryan Garcia to be able to put out the biggest gate in his entire career. We know what Tank is as a fighter. Yes, we know he's a spectacle, one of the biggest fighters in sport. We get it, absolutely. We get that Canelo is an anomaly from the standpoint of he doesn't need anybody and people who still sell tickets, absolutely. We know that. But with Haney, it's almost the polar opposite. It's severely the polar opposite. And he's more accomplished. Not than them, but more accomplished than most boxers in the division from an accolade standpoint. He's garnered the respect. He beat the good names. He beat Lomachenko. Regardless of what you want to say about the circumstances surrounding it. Like, the record says he won. I feel that he lost, but even still, like, I can't deny what he did. Hey, that was a phenomenal fight. That officially you won. And it's like, even with all of that, he's still without somebody else that is a megastar. With him, specifically, nobody's going to want to care. And I don't know how he gets out that hole unless, again, when it comes to the likes of a Ryan, which is what everybody's looking for, he comes and puts on a show, a real show. It starts with Ramirez, but the real antithesis of what Haney's going to be for most likely the rest of his career is going to be that rematch with Ryan Garcia. And if he loses against Jose Ramirez, forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about elevating to that threshold that you feel you deserve from a star power standpoint. That'll never happen. That won't happen in the slightest. It will be capped fully if that happens. But that's the struggle that we're looking at with Devin Haney at this point in time. Unlike other boxers who, hey, at some point in time, you could carve out your own way to get what you deserve from the standpoint of star power and accolade. Devin Haney, the next two fights are really going to be, for my money, personally, benchmarks for what he can actually become to the majority of fans for the rest of his career. It's a big indictment. I get it. I could be wrong, absolutely, but I really feel that that's what we're going to be. That's what we're running into for this, and it's only with Devin Haney because he's the only one that has this problem. He's the only one that has this problem, and that I don't know if he can overcome it. Shakur can overcome being born. Shakur can overcome being somebody that people don't want to see happen. Somebody that people don't want to see fight. He can overcome that. I don't think Devin Haney can. Shakur is more a villain because his kid's face makes him dangerous. This guy, it's that a little bit like Steph Curry, babyface assassin early in his career when he was clean shaven and had that peach fuzz on him. And it was like, it was, yeah, he terrorized the league, but he also became one of the faces of it. He was a villain to the players, but the fans loved him. They did. And so it's like, I kind of, but also just as a person, from what I've seen with fans, they can more gravitate towards Shakur than they can with Devin Haney. From what I've seen, from online, talking with people, having opinions. They can rock with Shakur a lot easier, or have a more accepting nature when it comes to vibing with Shakur than they do with Devin Haney, from what I've seen thus far. But let's see. Yo, Trey, what's good with you? How you doing? I'm sorry, I've been trying to go through the chat. I've been trying to make sure I catch everybody. But let's see. Welch, that's a mean part. That's a mean part. It is. Yeah, it is. I told you. I'm trying to do something, trying to look good. I'm trying to look good. Hopefully it looks good. Hopefully it don't look like I'm not. It hopefully don't look like I've just been, chopped with an axe off the side of the head. Also, maybe the way I'm brushing it might be, I ain't losing my hair, but I'm trying to keep the part clean. So you gotta brush it in the midst of doing your waves. You gotta brush it right. You gotta keep the valley clean. That's what I'm trying to do. Maybe I need to, change the way I do it a little bit so it's not so much of a cavern. Oh, or excuse me, maybe it looks good and I don't need to change it. Either way, I'm rocking with it now. Not done committed, so I look decent enough. We'll say that. I look decent enough. We'll say that. So that's the best thing I can say. Oh shoot, you right, Reese. What you got, Tyson? See, I knew it. See, this is what I knew at some point in time. At some point in time, this was going to happen. I was finally going to get those jabs that we all. That's all these other podcasters and YouTubers get. I love it. Absolutely. Shoot, you're right. I do got that Mike Tyson part. I think his was a little more off center, just a little bit. But yeah, hey. Well, I'm following in the footsteps of greatness. See, I'm about to have one of the most dominant runs that we've seen in the social media landscape. See, I didn't even recognize I was doing that. Oh, I'm prepped and propped for greatness. Oh, don't let me grow this out now and still keep the part. Oh, you would watch. You're going to see me. Give me a couple months. I'm going to come in here looking 250 I'm going to come in here 220, 215 one day. And it's going to be like, oh my gosh, hey. When did Mike Tyson could become a podcaster again after doing hotboxing? Oh, what's going to happen? Shoot, I'm going to look like a wall if I get that big. I'm going to be big. I'm going to be muscular. But I might not even fit through the door. Doggone it. I'll be stocky. As I'll get out. You won't want to mess with me, though. I'll tell you that, but let's see. I only threw the idea of Tyson cut, and he ran with it. Now he's a pro boxing commentator. gotta look the part. I see. Hey, gotta look the part. Gotta feel. You gotta go with what you know. If you're gonna walk the walk, you gotta talk the talk. That's what we're doing right now. And so let's see. Hey, yo, Sergey, what's going on with you? How you doing? Appreciate you joining in on the show. Do you like French bread? I think I've had a couple times in my life. Specifically, we're talking about croissants. And hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Oh, I love that. I love it. I do what he loves. I would love to go to France for one day and actually get some fresh bread from one of their bakeries. That would be phenomenal. I think we might have some bakery shops down here over in this area, in my part of town. I might just have to get some. Shoot, hey, if anybody wants to sponsor me, I'll eat bread all day long on this show. I'll make it a part of my day. Dog, I'm making a part of this stream. We'll give away bread if anybody wants to sponsor the show. Absolutely, we can make it happen and give me some bread in the process. I'll be looking for that, no question about it. Yo, MS, what's good with you? Thanks for tuning into the show. Glad you're having fun. Glad you're having a laugh. If you haven't already, leave a like on the stream. We appreciate your time and effort and energy. No question about it. I think it's going to be a huge upset throughout the whole weekend. Ryan wins by lucky punch. Ramirez going to rock Haney. Haney win by decision, and Barboza gonna beat Tio. Oh, Barboza beating Tio. Now that's interesting. That's a good. I don't see it. It is possible. Oh, it's possible. I don't think it's gonna happen. Barboza, he ain't bad though. Barboza ain't bad. He ain't bad. I don't think that's gonna happen. The biggest upset I can see would be Haney losing to Ramirez. That's the thing. Biggest upset I would see is Haney losing to Ramirez. Potentially the second biggest will be Romero beating Ryan Garcia, and that would be because of just the power alone. The power, and he closes the gap with his explosion and lands, again, one shot that, unlike with Ryan Garcia versus Smith all those years ago, actually puts him down and keeps him down. But that's the only thing. Outside of that, I don't see that happen. But it could happen. I don't deny that at the size. I say, hey, preacher, confidence builds a good commentary. You got this. Hey, look, hey, I'm always, if I wasn't confident, I wouldn't be here with you. Doggone it. So like I said, I'm going to live with whatever this rocks with. If it comes out great and the haircut keeps on being, looking slick and clean, hey, this is the new me. Although these barbers might have to, charge a little bit less. I ain't going to lie. I'm getting the basic cut. This and nothing else. Just, that's why I'm growing my hair. I'm trying to save some money so I can make sure I keep... So I make sure I ain't got to go to the barber so much. So I'm going to make sure this cut stays, as kept as I can. So I got some clippers in there. I got some clippers in the house. I might just have to revisit, being my own barber for a little bit. Because I'll tell you what, hey, in this economy, oh yeah, I might just have to do it. But again, that's a whole nother conversation. We got to continue. Let's see. I don't believe in lucky punches. I feel you. So we'll change it. Not necessarily a lucky punch, but like with anybody, you land one clean shot, it can put the lights out for anybody. And again, every punch, I can see it. Every punch ain't lucky. No punches are lucky because if the punch landed, you did something right. I feel you. It's just the likelihood that we could see somebody like Rolly land the actual proper punch against somebody like a Ryan Garcia, especially this version of Ryan Garcia, and that punch having the effect of being able to take him out fully. I just don't think the probability of that happening is incredibly high. If it does happen, wow, that would be shocking to say the least in my estimation. But I feel you. Ain't no such thing as lucky punches because if it lands, you did something right. Even if the opponent made the wrong move, you threw the right punch to take advantage of that. So can't really call it lucky because it hit. And so even closing your eyes and throwing, you threw it in the right angle and the brother went down. That's how most people catch them because they just hope and pray. Prayer got answered. And so we got to see Tio hasn't fought in over a year. He hasn't, but his mentality is not where it was the last time we were scared. He was struggling. We've seen other fighters have longer layoffs and still be close to what they normally are as a boxer. So I'm not as concerned with what we see with Teofimo Lopez on the night of the fight against Barboza. I'm not as concerned. It can still be, hey, potentially it just waited too long. Ring Rust took this brother out. Potentially that could be the case. Do I see it happening? I don't. For my money. But it's not completely just, it's a guarantee. It's not. But I think when we look at who T.O. is, I think he'll show up like he needs to show up. Because even with all this talk that I see about him, all the stuff that we've covered with T.O. over the course of, months at one point in time, going off the rails, doing a bunch of like, that ain't a good look for your brand type stuff. Still, the confidence of, I know how good I am, was always the biggest concern. Now that seems to be fortified with him. And also, the way that he's training, for my money, I believe is going to fit what T.O. is as a boxer and only enhance it and make him better. I think that he's going to be just fine. But we're going to have to wait and see. But again, we got to move on. We got to continue because we did say we are going to talk about Tank, didn't we? So let's move on, shall we? Let's go into the next topic of the day. Moving out from that weekend in New York. We'll probably revert back to that because we got some other fights like one anyway that we got to discuss also on that night. But we need to talk about Tank and him being small. And somebody brought, who was it? Yo, Trey brought up the question. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it and bring it back up here. No, not Yo, Trey. It was Allo J. He brought it up. And it was a great question. I like it up, and it fit exactly the segment of the show. Do you think Tank should fight at 126 or 130? Because I've been hearing that people say that he is a small guy and not a real 135 pounder. Tank is a real 135 pounder, like I said in the preview. Tank is a small guy, but I don't feel that Tank is a small fighter. 135 is his sweet spot. Yes. You've also seen this brother walk around, as Jay Riggs say, at 160 at one point in time when he's not boxing. So we know that the case. We know that to be we know that to be true as well. Fighting wise, fighting weight, he can get up to 140 and be fine. For my money, he can be fine. It's the fact that him being at 135 while the competition is at 140 and up. The issue comes when people are trying to say he can't get there. Now, I talked about this before. The question with Lamont, the question that Lamont has brought up, with that fight with Tank, now has people, again, being a lot more louder, see why move up to 135, he struggled with somebody, or why move up to 140, he struggled with somebody at 135, and you saw what happened. See, the brother should have always been at this weight and or lower. You're wrong with saying you should mess with anybody at 130, or you should not mess with anybody at 130, because that's his actual weight. The fight with Lamont has re-brought up and really vocal, or really made that side of the Tank fandom vocal and avid. And people should be 130 or 135. Pitbull. See, and here's the thing. You want me to be real? You want me to be real about all of this? Let me be real about this. Pitbull and Tank can both fight at 140. Pitbull and Tank both can fight at 140. But the issue is, it is a complete different conversation for why Cruz is struggling in terms of, again, lost his title and all this stuff, and why Tank won't move up. Isaac Cruz has the build and is already competing at these higher weights. But the problem is his skill set, because it is so one-dimensional, even though it's really effective. At some point in time, his lack of evolution is making it so that there's going to be a cap on what he can do in that division. He can be outboxed. Even with him being, again, a consistent walk-down turtle. That's what he is. Shell up, walk you down. You're not going to rock him. Chin made of iron. He's going to throw heavy shots literally the entirety of the fight, even when he's tired. And so it's going to be like he's got the physical tools to do it. And he's got the physical tools to hurt 140 pounders and even potentially up. But it's the fact that he doesn't have the talent, or rather the skill set, the evolved skill set, to really be able to be as successful as his physical gifts can make him. Tank has the skill set and the physical gifts to go not just to 140, but to compete at the 147 pound division in my eyes. But the problem is, even though he has everything that Pitbull doesn't have, he doesn't want to move up, but he can move up. Because Pitbull's a small guy. Tank, I think, was Tank bigger from a height standpoint than the likes of Isaac Cruz? Let me see. Isaac Cruz height. Isaac Cruz is 5'4". Tank Davis is 5'5". Isaac Cruz is 5'4". Isaac Cruz is shorter than Tank, yet he gave Tank one of his toughest fights. Yes, Tank did hurt his hand, but he still gave Tank one of his toughest fights, and Tank never wanted to give him a rematch. Yet he's already moved up to 140, become champion at 140, and is campaigning, ain't moving back down. Tank is a better fighter than Isaac Cruz. And he's bigger than Isaac Cruz. Even if it's by an inch, he's bigger. But Isaac Cruz is at a level, or is at a weight that Tank ain't at yet. That's because Tank doesn't want to be there. But he can be there. I've said he can do what Roberto Duran did, even if it's not to that same level of degree of moving up all the way to light heavyweight. But he can move up and still be successful. He did it against Mario Barrios. Some people have that fight as one of his better performances in his entire career. It's phenomenal. It is indeed incredible. He was forced to evolve, adapt, overcome the height and length of the likes of Barrios. Not just with cutting off the ring, but also understanding, okay, I got to implement my offense a little bit differently. Now I got to use my lead left essentially as my jab to close the distance, to consistently land some more shots. Now slip and counter, take more chances, but still be deliberate, responsible, and powerful at the same time. We saw it, and it was phenomenal. He can do that against most people. At 140, it would be him fighting at the best of the best. It would be everybody that is at 135. And if they can move up and be what they are, and Tank, even at 135, was seen as the best out of all of them from a talent perspective. Why is that at 140, you can't do the same thing? Don't let Lamont Roach fighting Tank and giving him a very tough fight, in my opinion, winning that fight. Don't let that fool you, that he can't still move up to 140 and be incredibly successful. Because Lamont Roach said he was too small for him in that fight. He said that to Andre Ward. Go look up the interview. But even with that being the case, even if Lamont Roach is saying that he's too small for him, brother, we've seen him beat bigger people than Lamont Roach and knock them out. So if one anomaly is saying that somebody's too small, but everybody else that has been bigger than him in their career, he's been able to beat. I'm like, there is not an excuse. He's not. His size as a small guy doesn't mean he's a small guy. Canelo was a small guy for the division, but he's not a small guy. The man is built like a rock and has all the talent to make that build incredibly successful. Tyson was a small guy, but is not a small guy in any words. The brother was 5'10", 5'11", 5'10". Ain't no way he's 5'11". He's 5'10". In the land at that point in time where bigger and better, or bigger is better, was starting to become the norm in the heavyweight division. The last good era of heavyweights across the board. And he became, at one point in time, the best of the best because his talent was there. He could have fought, if Tyson fought at what? Cruiserweight? Like, dominated. And we know this. Because he was doing that to heavyweights. Anybody smaller than him, oh my gosh. Shoot. That's a menace. That's a massacre. Outside of, again, Evander Holyfield. It's a massacre. So he was a small guy, but he's not a small guy. Tank is a small guy, but he's not a small guy in the slightest. From the standpoint of his competitive level. He can do what Pacquiao did. He can do what we see Inoue do right now. Even if you want to say it's not as egregious of steps that he can do. I'll give you that argument. Still, you can't say that he couldn't compete up to 147 and wouldn't be one of the biggest threats at 140. You can't tell me that that's just not the case, because it is the case. Because Tank, even with what we see right now with Lamont Roach, oh my gosh, stuff is rocky. He's still Tank. He still is the Tank that we know. He still is one of the big, not just biggest heavy hitters, but he still is one of the smartest boxers in the world. He still is one of the best counterpunchers that we've seen in all the boxing. He is still a thinker who is able to give up rounds because he knows he will get the knockout. His whole game plan is predicated on getting a KO and has always been successful nearly 90% or over 90% of the time. That's not by happenstance. This ain't like with Wilder. We know what Tank is. Though, again, Wilder just has outright power, but limited skill set. Tank has a phenomenal power and a phenomenal skill set. This ain't fake. This is real. That realness would allow him to compete against others at the heights of the division. And again, even let's say he does lose, that still isn't a problem because we're saying you can get up there and fight with them. Win, lose, or draw, we know your ability can carry you up there. At minimum, try. But he's not trying. If he did try, more likely than not, he would be successful. But the problem is he doesn't want to try. So we are all lamenting, where is the drive to push yourself? Because you are not underestimated. You should not be seen as underestimated in your size. And you hanging out at 130, 135, no, that's not where you can be at your best. It isn't. Your best is at 135 to 140. I would argue as a fighter, he becomes better at 140 because he's forced now to use everything in his tool belt. I would argue that. I would genuinely, because of the threat levels bigger, he becomes better. He would have to. Again, we saw the adaptation in Barrios in the fight. This is what Tank can be. He can be his best at higher weights as a boxer because he'll be forced to and still got the power to put everybody in a concerning state. But he won't do it himself. Don't let the fans of Tank belittle what his ability can be in reality. Because the only reason why they're saying they want Tank to stay at 135 to 130 is because they don't want him to potentially lose at higher weights. But they know full well he can beat people at higher weights. He can become a champion at higher weights. He can do all of this at higher weights. He can. He most definitely can. But it is the inability of Tank fans, those of who are only about the record and not the fighter and not the legacy and not wanting to push Tank to be the best that he can be, to carve out a stone in history that everybody can look back on and be like, that was a great fighter, win, lose, or draw. That's what we're looking at when it comes to Tank Davis. That's what we're looking at when it comes to his fans. That's what we're dealing with when it comes to that type of conversation. That Tank should only be at 130 to 135. That's the only time. Anybody else would say, yeah, put him against Tio. Put him against Devin Haney. Put him against Hitchens. Put him against Poirot. Put him against Sabril Matias. All those people. And even up to 147, it ain't out the question that could be a fight that, hey, shoot, I would like to see it. It would be a test, but I'd love to see it. Because I know he can get up to that level. Don't let Tank fans undermine, for their own safety as a fan, what Tank can do in reality. Because Tank's limits are bigger than his fans want to say they are. Which is ridiculous. Because that only hinders your boxer and not allow him to be as great as he can be. So no, Tank should not be only at 130 to 135. He should be at 140. Should have been at 140. He can get up to 147. And depending on how he looks there, but he might be able to compete at 154. Who knows? Might. I'm not saying he will. Might. But those upper limits are all not just a pipe dream. It's not just some made up thing to help, ride Tank, overglaze Tank. This ain't like that. We know what we see. We know what his peers say about him. We know what his talent is, and we know what he can do. That means that he, in his threshold of greatness, is not capped like other people at where you can be at your best. It ain't. Hence, Tank should be in those higher weight classes where we know he can, in fact, compete. Let's see. And so we're going to see. I don't know if he's a better fighter than Pitbull. Many of us thought he beat Tank. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. Pitbull beat Romero way worse than Tank did. He was more of a just bum rush dominant style. But you have to look at it, they fight completely differently. Tank doesn't just run in guns blazing. Pitbull does. Tank downloads and then acts. Pitbull just acts and then says, stop me. There's a difference in approach to the fight, hence why the fight went like it did. Isaac Cruz looked more demonstrative. But Tank was more, it was one-hitter quitter. And he set it up. So it's like, it's two different ways of approaches, but it's the same way in terms of the outcome. It's the same dominant level of, yeah, brother, he beat you mentally. And made it so that the end was too strong for you to get up. Timed you to perfection. Let you dig your own grave with your own aggression. Isaac Cruz fights in a completely different manner. And so that type of dominance is like you can appreciate both in their respective styles. But both are impressive. Because the way that they did it is like Tank outthought Rolly and set traps for Rolly. Isaac Cruz ran through Rolly and went physical or physical strength, physical attributes versus physical attributes. Let's see who wins. He dominated the battle. Tank, mental struggle versus physical attributes. He outthought him. And they both ended in Isaac got stopped. Isaac stopped Rolly on the feet. Tank stopped Rolly by pinning him to the mat. So it's like, it's both incredibly impressive. And so again, and so for me, I would say that, yeah, he's, you can't look down on either fight. Sure, you can nitpick and pinpoint, but in terms of like, you appreciate the style at which it happened. That's why you give it the respect it deserves. Rolly was winning that fight versus Tank. But again, Rolly wins. Not Rolly. We just said that Tank gives up rounds consistently. Like he never relies on winning the early part of the fight to get you out of there. It is his whole game plan. It's by round 6 or 7. The start of setting you up for the KO comes into play. Because now I don't know what to do with it. I'll lose these rounds to beat you and definitively stop you. And he did just that. The game plan was exactly the same like we've seen with all the other fights. And so he deal with the power and the aggression. Okay, let me see what he's about. Be defensive. Download what Rolly's tendencies are. What he likes to throw. Be smart. And then second half of the fight, do what I do best, which is going through and setting you up for the KO. Because that's how I always went. Wait, download, then go through and beat him. And so some cases it's pretty, some cases it's ugly, but regardless of which, these cases, it happens. And so that's what happened. So I can't take anything away from it because it literally fits the bill of every fight that I've seen with Tank. So he tried to do that same thing with Lamont Roach. It just didn't work. It just didn't work because Lamont Roach had a game plan to stop that level of second half domination that we always see Tank do. And so, yeah, at least that's my feelings on it anyway. But listen, we still got to go through. We got more to cover, like what the likes of, hey, Bud Crawford and Star Power, conversations about what Bud is as a star, with them getting on the Shannon Sharp show, well, Shannon Sharp podcast, again, in a very much timely manner. Some would say ill-timed because of what we see right now. But regardless of which, as he goes and with this media spread, because he's not in the ring, taking time to build himself up for Canelo later on in the year, on a press tour, but potentially with one of the biggest, again, stops on that tour, Shannon Sharp as a mogul of a media personnel on Club Shay Shay. Millions of views are going to be accumulated with that interview. And it gave you an ability to see a different side of Bud that normally we don't see, which is great, which is phenomenal, which is absolutely needed for the likes of Terence Bud Crawford. Because we have been always talking, where is the same level of star power, notoriety, not just respect, but actual recognized nature that fans can have for the likes of somebody like a Terence Crawford, because he deserves all that. And we see when his personality is able to shine, Butter looks happy, funny, is wrestling with Shannon Sharp, literally wrestling with Shannon Sharp, got a good sense of humor, is again still like, he still got that down-to-earth type mentality. Absolutely. He's a fun dude. He's a cool dude. The brother is somebody I would love to hang out with. He is endearing, naturally, to people. The issue is people don't see that. And it's crazy. But it's because of how he's been marketed and handled. Tank, again, from Baltimore, with all, not just with the in-ring type of fighting ability, but the outside swagger and all that stuff, it's shown. It is public. It is infatuating. It draws people in because it's a lot. It's in your face, and it's cool to a lot of people. It's cool. Tank is cool. We can't he's got it swag. I'm not trying to again overly give this brother props, but like he's got a swag about it. He's got a factor that people want to gravitate towards. He's got a gravitas. It's a natural charisma that people, they see it, they want to emulate it. They want to attach themselves to it. They live through that. But Crawford, he's more introvert, but he doesn't talk a whole bunch from the standpoint of in media, he handles what he needs to do and he's gone. He's out of here. But in private, oh, the brother's fun. And when given a platform to feel more out there, feel more comfortable, have that feeling of, okay, I can be me, kind of let my guard down a little bit. Funny, witty, quick with his words, snappy comebacks, sense of humor. It's a perfect fit from the standpoint of what you would want a fan to see and gravitate towards and be like, I love this dude. Question is, when will that melding of popularity and fighting ability finally come into play? When will that actually become one? And I think this is a good start. And it's a shame that it started this late because even before Errol Spence, Crawford's always been like this. But the issue is the brother, this wasn't shown as part of that personality. It wasn't shown as a factor of him. To a degree, his promoters failed him. The people that were supposed to do their job to make this brother look like something that fans should want, they failed him. They stopped that momentum. They halted that, not just because of the whole side of the street argument, not just because, again, Errol Spence was viewed as the man at 140, at 130, at 147 before the actual fight, or at least one of the two men at 147. But Spence's like personality, big fish and all that mantra, it was hyped up. It was put and plastered for everyone to see. It was given room to grow in the minds of fans. Crawford wasn't done like that. And now it's late, but we're finally able to see the level of real endearing nature, connectivity for the standpoint of fans can gravitate towards him. They can relate to him. He's got all these different aspects about him. The man genuinely, when given the platform and when pushed properly, all the brother can be what he should be, which is one of the biggest stars in sport, which is one of the biggest faces that this boxing game has to offer. Should have already been that already, but sadly, it is what it is. But now, with Shannon Sharp, this is potentially the launching point from the newfound stardom that he's garnered from Errol Spence Jr. to be able to get him to those masses, to make him be seen as that level of big time, endearing, infatuating type of star that fans want to support and want to live vicariously through. That's what he can be. And also reveal some stuff that I didn't know about the situation with Crawford and Canelo. Like with, there's no rematch clause. I did not know that. I did not know that in the slightest. That's news to me. So now we got to hear from Terence Crawford. This fight with Crawford and Canelo, when it does happen, it's one and done. He's got one shot at this. Ain't no rematch. Ain't no moving back down or different weights to come through and try to see what it's about. You got one shot to make this happen. And after that, you're done. Finito. Finished. Potentially never get another opportunity. I did not know that. Now that brings a new gravitas to this whole situation. That brings a new realm of feeling to what this fight is going to be. Because there's no rematch clause, as with what Terence Crawford said to the likes of Shannon Sharp on Club Shay Shay. Now this brings more, okay, yeah, I see why he's not trying to get another fight in. Now I get it. Because I was under the impression they would most likely have, potentially they would have a rematch in place to where if this sells out big, boom, 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 we'll run it again. But not. It's one hitter quitter. And so that brings another level of, maybe this is the wrong word, but I think it's apropos, desperation. That Crawford knows, this is my one shot to make history. Because I won't have this again, most likely. Because I think he's already said that, fighting up in these higher weights, it's a hard task. Fighting Benavidez is like fighting the likes of a heavyweight. Might as well move with the heavyweight. He understands there's a plenty of, I've heard rumors that Crawford has been in a situation where, or has been talking and saying, like he knows competing against the whole of 168 most likely isn't in his cards. But he feels if there is one person that he can definitely beat, it is ironically enough Canelo. Hence why he wants to make this opportunity legitimately possible. So it's a level of it's do or die, which really makes this whole fight like, brother, there's going to be a level of when you know you only have one chance to succeed, it makes you dig to a place that is, in some cases, unbeknownst even to your own psyche, which can breed an incredibly interesting fight. And I'm excited for it. Also in that same interview, he was talking about how when it comes to fighting Canelo, unlike with Charlo, he's not going to over-respect Canelo, which is good. My gosh, which is great. Hey, brother, that's exactly what you need to do. And just like I have been saying all this time, Charlo was scared of Canelo. Let's put a pin in that. Let's finally put that argument to rest. Crawford came out and said the same thing I've been saying. The same thing in some cases I've been trying to get Charlo fans to not try to fight me on. Because it's a losing battle because they are wrong. Because it is apparent to everybody that man was scared of Canelo. That man was scared of the power, of the durability, and of the constant stalking nature that Canelo was bringing to Charlo. Charlo genuinely was complacent with just going through and getting a paycheck. Crawford said that same thing. This ain't me saying this now. This is him reiterating everything I've been saying. This is what lost Charlo that fight. Not just because he's not a better fighter, but because he was afraid of his opponent. He was not the lion. He was a cub. He was essentially there to take the money and run. Literally run. We talk about Shakur running around the ring all the time. This is the most blatant example of somebody running in a fight. There is no better example of somebody avoiding competition, being afraid of what's coming back at him, being afraid to engage in any way, shape, or form than this fight with Charlo and Canelo. It is absolutely horrible. I was watching it with friends, that fight. And I was like, this fight's going to be exciting. I was hyping this fight up to my friends. And they went and they said, oh, this is horrible. Oh, this brother's scared. Oh, this man doesn't want to do anything. This ain't a fight. That's what they were saying. And I felt the same way. Because this is what Charlo did. He did not try. And him not trying was because of his inability to get over the respect of who Canelo is as a boxer. And now, this is exactly what Crawford won't do, can't do, If he does do that, same thing's going to happen. Thankfully, he understands that can't be what he is as a fighter. Because if he does go down that road, it is going to be a bad day. Outright. He can't respect Canelo so much that everything about his own game plan goes to pot. He can't do that. He won't do that. If he does do that, he's going to grow into the same issue as Charlo, which is I'm going to lose, I'm going to get knocked down, and I'm going to look like a punk and a bum to the world to see. And my reputation is going to be ruined. That's what he understands that it won't be the case. And if he, because of that very sentiment, he will be able to have a better performance. He will be able to actually have an opportunity to beat Canelo. Because the biggest thing when you step in the ring ain't just the competition. You're not just breaking through the defense of your opponent. You're breaking through the facade of invincibility. Every punch is not just a punch that's trying to get around the guard, break the guard, break the will. You're breaking the facade of respect because you have to. If you don't break through that level of respect, you will lose. And when I say break through level of respect, I mean if you don't make it so that you are consciously, at all times, making it a point that no matter who you think you are, in terms of who your opponent thinks they are in front of you, you are not so great that I can't do what I need to do. That I can't defy the respect that you say you deserve. That I can't defy the level of grandeur that your career has garnered and say all of that means nothing to me in this moment. That's what Crawford needs to do. That's how Crawford is built. This is why I've been saying the Crawford fight and the Charlo fight will not be the same fight. This is exactly why I've been saying that. This is the very type of conversation I've had with you all months ago. That this is not going to be the same fight as that Charlo fight. Because this is not the same fighter. This is not the same mentality that's going to be inside the ring as it was with Charlo. This is not in the slightest going to be that type of fight. Because there's not going to be a level of respect that is so great that it is impenetrable by the actions that you do in the ring. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a brother who thinks he's a bigger dog than you. And what you think should be an outright whitewashing on the side of Canelo for Charlo is a slap in the face to the likes, or Canelo versus Crawford, is a slap in the face to Crawford. Anybody who feels they step in front of Crawford is the ultimate sign of disrespect towards Crawford, in Crawford's mind. That's how he is wired. The fact that you think you can beat me is not something that I take lightly. Same thing with Spence. He wanted Spence the whole time. When he stepped into the ring, he fought as if I can't believe this man even attempted to challenge me. This is the fire and the innate will that Crawford brings to this ring that's going to make this fight so impactful. It's going to make this fight so exciting. It's going to make this fight a can't miss opportunity for the world to be able to go in and have a real look at two of the best in the world going at it in a pound for pound level spectacle. That while it may look on the surface that yes, Crawford is a slim winner from the standpoint of he is very unlikely that he can win, it is not as decrepit as you may think in the grand scheme of what this fight is actually going to be. I promise you, this is a different beast that's stepping in the ring with Canelo. So stop using Charlo as a barometer for what we can see Crawford do. Because Crawford and Charlo are not even in the same stratosphere from the standpoint of greatness, talent, and also mental fortitude and will. They're not the same. I'd argue it's disrespectful to compare Charlo to Crawford. Genuine. It's genuinely disrespectful. because of who we know Crawford is and who Charlo has now shown to the world what he is not. Because it was Crawford who walked the walk that Charlo said he lives, which is being a lion. It was Crawford who, in the face of his biggest opposition, showed up and not just tried, but whooped to kingdom come the most dangerous opposition in his way, which was Errol Smith Jr. at that point in time. Then moved up and beat Madrigal. One of the hardest technical fights that he's had in his career. And continued to have that same level of, I want everybody not just to see me as great, but I want to beat everybody that can make me great. Charlo, when put in that same opportunity, cut in line, just like with Crawford, getting an opportunity to fight for the undisputed title that Benavidez never got, and that he more than deserved. And he didn't even attempt to make this a fight. It's not the same. It's not the same. You can't compare the two. You can't compare that fight to what this fight's going to be, because it's going to be so different. It's going to be night and day. Regardless of the result, the fight's going to be night and day. I promise you, mark my words. But again, I think that's about everything we got to cover on my end of the spectrum in the boxing world. I think we also got to cover real quick in other sports news, talking about the world of the NBA very quickly, because I know we got some NBA fans out here and they want to see what's going on. We got playoffs going through, and it has heated up incredibly quickly. The Lakers turned around entirely what their game was the first time they played against the Timberwolves, and turned this into not just a series, but looking like a completely different team going into their next game, or going into game 2, dominating the Timberwolves while still scoring less than 100 points. Defensively, they were a bunch of menaces. Now this is where the game and the series becomes interesting as it goes back to Minnesota. Now we need to see if this same defensive intensity is going to be able to be upkept for the entirety of this series. And if it is, now the Timberwolves may be in trouble. And that's where it's going to be, it's going to be interesting. Not only that, we got with OKC and Memphis. Memphis getting dominated in this series, down 2-0 to OKC. Last game lost 131-80. Absolutely ridiculous. Ironically enough, a couple of seasons ago, when the Thunder were rebuilding, Memphis beat them 142-79. So this is payback on a bigger stage, with nearly just as much of a statement of you're not in my league. And my goodness, what we thought was going to be more competitive than what I thought was going to be a series that maybe would have been a dark horse for one of the best series in the first round, has quickly turned into a just bloodbath, an absolute bloodbath of epic proportions. That this most likely it's going to be a sweep. Most likely it's going to be a sweep. It's going to be bad. They play tonight. I'm saying expect OKC to go up 3-0 and then sweep them outright. And then with the best series of the entirety of the playoffs also happening tonight, Denver versus Clippers, which has been an outright back and forth dominating display. Jokic versus Kawhi. Kawhi looking better than ever from the standpoint of not just being healthy, but also being active, being available, and consistently playing at such a high level. It's preposterous. Westbrook actually playing not so demonstratively bad in this series. Had a better game 1 than he did game 2. But regardless of which, it's like this is shaping up to be one of the best series of the entire first round, potentially of the playoffs. If it gets better than this, shoot. I mean, we're in for a treat. We're in for an incredible treat, and I'm excited. I can't wait to see it. I really can't. And of course, Boston's beating Orlando 2-0. That most likely is going to be a sweep. Cleveland versus Miami. At this point in time, I believe it is a 2-0 lead for Cleveland, unless I'm wrong. Let me make sure I ain't got that right. Yeah, it's a clean sweep at this point in time for Cleveland and the Heat going into game 3. That's most likely going to be a very much dominant affair. Bucks and Pacers. Right now, Pacers are up 2-0, even with Dame coming back in this series, which I really don't think that he should, because it's a blood clot. Same thing that made Chris Bosh retire. Same thing that made the likes of Wembanyama had to stop his sophomore year when he would have been an all-star defensive player of the year, all NBA, all that and more would have been him this season if he had not gotten that blood clot. And so I promise you, as much as Dame can be a difference maker, I don't want him to do this because I don't want this brother potentially running into a bigger issue. I really don't. But again, playoffs are indeed heating up. I'm excited to see how it goes. Can't wait to see what's the game. Is it games 2 and 3? Games 3 for multiple series tonight. And hey, outside that, I think we've covered just about everything that we need to cover. And we can go to the championship rounds right now. Hey, if there's anything anybody wants to say, anything anybody wants to do, I might have to cut it short a little bit because I got some stuff I do got to take care of. But if there's anything anybody wants to talk about and discuss in the sports world, boxing, basketball, anything else, NFL draft that's coming up, we can talk about it right now. We can give you some time to get your questions and comments together on whatever you may want to discuss. Absolutely. Oh, we also got to talk about the world of Anyway while you're getting your questions in play. Anyway, again, against Cardenas, along with that May card that's happening all 3 weekends with Canelo fighting, Ryan, Devin, T.O. all fighting. It's going to be interesting. He is set for a stupid run. Now, I do mean stupid. He beats Cardina. Then he can beat Akhmadaliev, who we've been saying he needs to fight for who knows how long. I believe it's Akhmadaliev that we've been saying he needs to fight for who knows how long. MJ. That we've been saying that he needs to fight for how long. Then Nakatani, this is a 3-fight run. And if he wins all these, especially by KO, brother, we're talking about one of the greatest, not just of this generation, but like I've been saying, now he's solidified he'll be one of the greatest of all time. Already he's gotten that semblance of, yeah, he's right there. He goes on this 3-fight streak and beats everybody. Oh, he's definitely there. He's definitely more than there. But now we got to start reevaluating the all-time list when it comes to the landscape of the boxing world. And I'm telling you, the more we wait, the more we see, the more I'm getting excited for it. But, hey, only time will tell. But I'm waiting. I'm seeing. I don't think anybody's commenting. So I think everybody's all tuckered out. So with all that being said, we're going to wrap this up right now. We're going to cut it short. Again, I got some stuff I got to do. So I was waiting quick to see people coming through with questions. But if you ain't, no problem. No issue. It's all good. This will give you time to talk and breathe. But again, we're going to wrap this show up as of right now. We'll have a much longer time next time around. Coming next week, I won't be able to call the fight for Conor Benn versus Eubanks because I got some stuff I got to cover over the weekend. But I will watch it. Absolutely. We'll be back on Thursday to talk about it all. But again, or on Tuesday, talk about it all. But with all that being said, this has been another episode of The Watch Up with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Appreciate all your time and energy. We will be back on Tuesday to talk about the world of sports, boxing, and beyond. Won't be able to call the fight Wednesday for Eubanks versus Conor Benn. I got to do some stuff, and I got to handle some business. But regardless of which, we're going to still make it do next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a like on the stream before you leave. Comment your thoughts and opinions in the chat on how much you love the show, what we can do to make the show better. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Peace and love. We are out of here. Yes, sir. And we're going to see you all next week.